Hey everyone, my name is Nathan Stein, and let's talk a little bit about Twilight. Now, I know that there are a lot of people who really love Twilight, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with loving Twilight, as much as I'm saying that there are a few things that I believe are wrong with Twilight. And I know that there are people who think that the books are better than the movies and really believe it, but what I'm talking about is specific things that are relevant to both the books and the movies. They're specific to the characters and the story and the way they're both written. So let's talk about what it is that is wrong with Twilight. First of all, they completely transformed a mythology. It was Bram Stoker's Dracula that really paved the way for vampires in popular culture, and most works of fiction that dealt with vampires stayed somewhat close to the code that Bram Stoker set. Nothing really changed too drastically to where vampires stopped being vampires. But it was Stephenie Meyer's novels that made the vampires in there almost unrecognizable as vampires. Uh, I mean, the only thing that they really have in common is the fact that they drink blood. And that's about it. She didn't even give them fangs to make them less threatening and more sexy. And I understand that some vampires are supposed to be sexy, but they're also supposed to be scary. For example, Dracula was sexy and scary, but he was sexy for the sole purpose of drawing women in and feeding. But Stephenie Meyer doesn't even have her vampires feed. She just makes them sexy. Another thing that's wrong with it is the relationship between Bella and Edward. Um, these two characters have absolutely no chemistry together. For example, Edward is this stick, and Bella is this rock. And that is the extent of the chemistry that these two characters share. The only reason that they're even can be assumed that they're soulmates is because somebody wrote it. There's nothing that the characters do, say, or even how they act that can lead someone to believe that these two characters are in love or even meant to be together. And not to mention that their relationship is as superficial as you can get. I mean, Edward looks really nice. He's hunky and he's sparkly, and from what I get, Bella smells good. And that's why these two characters cannot live without each other. Aside from the relationship, another really big problem is the way Bella's written in general. Um, she is weak, and she's as dependent as someone can be. I mean, she's got two boys fighting over her. They're even willing to die for her. Nobody know. I can't figure out why. And she's completely cool with it. And that's not really a good message to send to young women, that it's okay for people to fight over you to that degree. Um, Another thing is, she's literally written as the lowest common denominator. She's bland. She's selfish. She's boring. I've said bland. I had to say it twice. And she's basically written as an empty shell, so that girls can look at her and they can look at Edward in all his hunky glory and say, "Wow, she sucks, and I'm way better than her. Why isn't Edward with me?" And that kind of creates the fascination that young women have with Edward, is because they think that they can do better than Bella, and that's kind of Stephenie Meyer's point, I believe. And like I said, I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with liking Twilight. It's entertainment. I'm just looking at things that I actually do think are wrong with Twilight. Thank you.